Are we green?
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon,
Well,
everybody.
great day.
Welcome. We are very excited to be talking about some cooking techniques and tips for wintertime, focusing on making some vegetarian stews. We have Chef Buddah with us here today with Buddah Foods. I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about what he does around the town, and then just let him take the mic and share recipes. We have a few particular recipes we're going to be working on, but he's also going to riff on some other things that he's been thinking about for vegetarians and vegetarian approaches to cooking. Please feel free to drop questions in the chat, or if you, particularly if you have any, questions about vegan or vegetarian cooking, or comments or thoughts, share your ideas too. We love to share ideas. It's not always just the teacher at the front of the room. So with that, if we could all give a warm welcome to Chef Buddah.
Thank you, guys. I want to say thank you again. You guys are always reaching out to me and asking for my products and my services. I really am humbled and grateful. So thank you guys for that. I've been doing this for 28 years, approximately, probably in February. It'll be like 28 years I've been cooking. I started off cooking at Focus Hope. They had a Center for Advanced Technologies building where they did machinist training. And I was already like a home cook, per se. And I knew the chef, and he pulled me in, and he kind of trained me how to work on a line, how to work the grills, and I was a natural. I think it took like 2 or 3 days, and they put a fire up under me, and I was off running. So that's where I got started off doing breakfast, lunch, and doing special meals. And then I ventured off into catering and working for multiple catering services. After that, I started working for the Hudson's restaurant, Hudson's in Marshall Fields. That was one of the greatest experiences because they menu rotated every week. So every week it was like I was in class learning different recipes, different seafood dishes, different vegetarian dishes, a lot of beef and chicken. So it was fun too. Loved it there. You got discounts on everything you could have bought from Macy's or Marshall Fields or Hudson's. And from there, I started working for the Detroit Medical Center, cooking for Sinai Hospital. That was a big change. There, the whole team. So it wasn't just me individually working a line. So that I fell in love with because I was only assigned to certain things. I would have to do like 30 pans of lasagna a day, or stews or soups. That's where I learned my technique on making soups and stews. One of the chefs there was brilliant. He showed me step by step. He showed me his techniques. I took it on, added my techniques. And from Sinai, we transferred over to Sinai Grace Hospital. And that seemed like it was a more busier hospital. That was fun too. They had a huge freezer they called the Blast. I would like to hang out in sometime when it got hot in the kitchen. We did tons and tons and tons of dishes. And from there, I went full-time catering, working for a company called the Brown Bag. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. They were based in Highland Park. They had a lot of big name clients. Majority of the judges and police in the city were used Brown Bag, Don Barton, some of the Mayor Archer, Kwame Kilpatrick, a lot of people. I made movies and Shake Ice, a lot of Detroit Pistons, from the Red Wing. That was when I got the spark to be an entrepreneur, because I was working for Joanne Greer. She was an older black lady, and her buddy was Chef John. They were both brilliant in the kitchen. They showed me things I've never learned working for the other institutions like the hospital, hotels, and stuff like that, restaurants. And once I saw how much money they were getting, to be honest, and how much praise they were getting for the food that was sent out, because they were just the guys who pointed the fingers. I was the actual chef, cooking everything. So they would get praised on how delicious everything was. And it opened my eyes to a different world. So I eventually started a company called Millennium Catering. And I did a lot of catering under that line. And then I would hang out a lot. and I realized there was nothing for me to eat as I hung out. So I decided to make my own products. When I was working for the Brown Bag, they showed me how to make gumbo, but I could never eat it because it had almost every dead animal on the planet in it, from shrimp to chicken to beef sausage and all that. So I started slowly trying to tweak it to a vegetarian version that I can eat because it smells so good. I love the whole Creole culture, and eventually I perfected my vegan gumbo dish, and I've been selling that since 2000, and people love it. Actually bought a house selling gumbo, so that's my signature dish. I also make vegan cheese sauce with butternut squash and coconut cream, and sometimes I'll make a Alfredo sauce with just the coconut cream. And currently I'm employed by the Capuchins. I work for the Capuchin Friars. I'm their personal chef, and I utilize the Solana's kitchen for a lot of catering events and all that. So that's, and work for these guys, it's been an eye-opener too, because I work for a multicultural group. I cook for guys from India, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Ireland, Australia, Germany, and Igor is from Hungary or something like that. And then we got the regular American guys. So when they hired me, they knew all about me first. They knew we know you're the vegan gumbo guy, you're into the vegan health good. They're like, but we're meat and potatoes type of guys. We don't want that kind of stuff here. So they put it up front. None of that vegan stuff here. So and learning from the Ethiopian guys and the guys from India, eat food a little different, it's took my culinary experience up a little higher, because I'm just used to doing regular American stuff. But to get the herbs and different curries from the guys from India, and dealing with the Berber, Ethiopian Berber, and jollof rice and stuff like that for Nigeria, has really fusioned my whole technique into a whole nother flavor level. So I like to cook with a lot of liquid smoke, and it gives people the idea of meat. A lot of people be like, it tastes like it's meat in this, but it's vegan, right? And I'm like, yeah. I never tell them what it is, but my secret is liquid smoke and actually charring vegetables to give it like a charred barbecue taste. So, I do a lot of work. I'm trying to retire, to be honest, and be the guy who points fingers and make recipes. But today, I'm excited to share two of my favorite wintertime dishes. I'm doing two different versions of vegetarian stew. One is made with a tomato base. The other one is made with coconut cream to give it a sort of a pot pie type of flavor. I usually eat these with Ezekiel breads and whole grain breads, stuff like that. You can find that stuff all over now. So I don't know if you guys want to get started. It's up to you. If you guys got any questions, or should I jump right in?
Any questions before we jump into the recipes? Okay, let's get started.
We're good. Okay. So today we got cauliflower, broccoli, onions, celery, carrots, white potatoes, and what else do we have?
Peas.
And peas and multicolored peppers. And what I do, I start off and I saute. First, I cut all the vegetables up. Depending on who you are, I don't know how most people like to cut their veggies, but I like mine sometimes small, and I like the broccolis to be a little bit more Brussels and bigger. But I like to just a fine dice, but it's always to your taste. And I get the. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm copying the ingredients. Which one are you going to start with?
We're going to do the red sauce first.
Okay,
Tomato based.
I'm going to put the ingredients in the chat. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, go right ahead. So we also have olive oil and grapeseed oil. I use those a lot when I'm sauteing my vegetables and seasoning the vegetables off rip. So I don't know if you guys can see this skillet I got.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
So I basically sweat those down until they're nice and tender. I don't season them until midway into the cooking part. That's just something I like to do. Some people like to throw everything in the skillet at the same time while they're cooking it, but sometimes if you're dealing with herbs or a base or powdered stuff like smoked paprika, it'll burn the pan and it'll burn the food also. So I like to get the vegetables sweated and tender first, and then I'll add everything. The first thing I will add, actually, for this.
Is this all the vegetables?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Which vegetables did you cut up, or what are in the pan right now?
Yeah, I cut up all the vegetables.
Okay.
And the only thing I won't put in is the peas. The peas will go in last in both recipes, to be honest. Because the peas will turn a darker color. I like to have them still look bright green. Still looks good for presentation.
So there's, if you could try and speak slowly, Buddah, you've been breaking up a little bit. Your sound.
Okay, I got you. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Unfortunately,
request to back up the screen a little bit if that's possible. If it's not, don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, I might put a full screen because the corner is throwing me off by this tablet having the camera on the end. If I can get a bigger picture and better view of what I'm doing on the bigger screen, that will work for me.
Okay.
Did it work? I'm not seeing myself.
It's about the same, honestly. I think the other way was probably better.
Okay. So we're gonna make this work.
Yeah, we'll make it work. There you go.
Okay. Look.
Good. So at this point,
So yeah, those are sweated.
okay, so we got, just to review, we got one sweet pepper, one green bell pepper, one red pepper, one potato, half a cup of broccoli, half a cup of cauliflower, one small carrot, one stalk of celery. Did you put the peas in yet? That's later?
That's going to be once everything starts to fall. That will go before we eat, because we want to see the color of the peas. The peas start to darken, and it depends on the person, to be honest. So this, I'm gonna go ahead and put tomato in this one and get the process of cooking the vegetable down to get a little bit more tender. I'm sorry, can you guys see me? Actually, my next process is actually adding wine.
Okay. So you just started with like a tablespoon of the
wine.
I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. 2 tablespoons for this amount of vegetables that we have today, to be honest. Because eventually it's going to cook out too. After I add the wine, I'm going to add vegetable base. That way it spreads and it cooks good with the wine. So let's see if this works. And this is going to be like at least a tablespoon of vegetable base. This angle is terrible. Next, I'm going to add liquid smoke. How we doing? Can you see me? Because I got it at an angle where I can't see. We're good?
You're good. Can I ask a few questions?
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So what did you use for the veggie base? Did you make it something yourself, or like what's the veggie base that you're using?
The vegetables.
The one I like is this brand. It's a roasted veggie base. You can get this one at Kroger and even online. It has a really good savory flavor. But you can use any kind wherever is available to you. They all work. But make sure that it's not too salty. You have to try them out first, see your taste buds and see, how it works.
And how much did you add?
It's seriously salty. The sodium level is crazy.
Yeah.
That was a tablespoon.
Okay. And so in terms of like pans and size of pan for the size amount of vegetables and that kind of thing, like you got one, looks like about an 8 or a 12-inch pan that you're working in there. Is there anything that you want to say about like
both
surface area or whatever? Like, I know that's a thing.
Yeah, this one especially will feed for 2 people. If you're doing an 8-inch one. So the recipe that we do have is exactly for two people. So if you want to just multiply it however you want and get a bigger pan or, whatever you want to cook in. You can also take these vegetables, toss them in oil and all the seasoning. I like to use Creole seasoning, whether it's something you can get locally or order online. And that's about it. I don't do anything other than the Creole seasoning. So I'm adding the sauce to this one. We're gonna let that one cook down. And at the same time, I had another one going for the cream sauce.
Okay. So for that one, for the cream sauce one, it's essentially the same ingredients, right?
All the way up until you're doing a coconut cream. And this one has no tomatoes, and that's about it. But everything else is the exact same. Except the red wine. Red wine I always do with my red sauces like spaghetti, stews, lasagnas, red meat, things of that nature. And white wine I always use with my cream sauces when I'm doing butternut squash, coconut cream, or even milk, because they tend to go together.
Does it matter what kind of wine?
I like cooking wine. And if I can't get a cooking wine, I'll always do regular wine, which works too. But the alcohol is going to burn out anyway. But depending on who I'm serving, if it's a group of kids, I probably won't use regular wine. I'll stick to the cooking wine. But it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
Some people have a certain brand of red wine they drink a lot. You actually can start cooking with that wine too. Some people like Chardonnay. You can start cooking with it.
Right.
Because that's what I get, to be honest.
Do you have a preference for the type of coconut cream that you use?
I like the Goya. I like the Goya brand, and it's a pretty good brand. I like the flavor. Okay, there we go. The more price that it is, the better the product. If you can find a coconut brand that's like $1 and something, I wouldn't recommend that at all. If it's at least $2 and up, that's the one I will go with, to be honest. So now we got this is cooking down. We're gonna stir it up. And like I say, this one was being given the same ingredients except the red wine. So I'm going to add the white wine to this one. This is also enough for 2 people also.
At what point? So at what point do you add the next ingredient? So you saute the vegetables, and you were talking about sweating them. So like, at what point do you add the next ingredients?
I say about
What are you
4
looking
minutes
for?
into it, and when the vegetables tend to look a little charred a little bit.
Okay, so you want a little bit of browning on the vegetables?
Um,
Yeah, okay.
Can you guys see that well?
Yeah. Yeah, you got some nice browning. Okay.
I like that. And it's different preferences for different people, to be honest. I like that taste because it gives me more of a charred taste, an outdoor taste. And when we add stuff like the liquid smoke and the roasted vegetable base, it sets the flavor off. And then you add the wine. It's awesome. And the
Okay.
same thing, a little Creole seasoning.
Then there's two questions here. So the coconut cream, is the Goya one in a box or is it come in a can?
They do come in both, to be honest. I like the one in the can because I believe the one in the box might be a little sweeter for cereal or something like that. I'm not too sure. I haven't used it that much.
Okay. And it's different than like the coconut
So
water,
yeah,
right? Like not the one that you drink. This is like cream. This looks like milk.
yeah, exactly.
And then the other question, Carol was asking, you started the both of these, you started with like 2 tablespoons of oil, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
for that amount of vegetables.
Yeah.
So you may need a little bit more depending on, what you're doing.
A little bit more what?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit more what? There's a question. A little bit more coconut milk, is that what you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oil.
Oil. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oil.
When you're starting out, start with roughly 2, but you might need a little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you want to cook it on medium high.
Okay. And have you added salt at all up to this point? Just the soup base, right? Or the vegetable base.
The Creole seasoning too.
Oh, okay.
And at the very last minute, once I taste it and see where the flavor's at, I'll sprinkle a little bit of kosher salt on it to either enhance it a little bit more, or if it really doesn't need it, I won't add any kosher salt. But I love my combination is kosher salt and Creole seasoning. Creole seasoning tends to have a little kick to it, and sometimes maybe high sodium content. So I like that taste too. All right, how are we doing? Okay, there we go. You guys see that well?
Yeah, center a little bit. There you go. Yeah. And this is at medium high, both of them?
Not now, both of them on high, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Once I add the sauce, the ingredients, I tend to just keep an eye on it on high. I let it cook to the point where it's almost done. This recipe is fairly quick. To be honest, the red one is ready. The coconut cream one, I'm gonna let it cook for like another 2 or 3 minutes. And then that one will be ready. And the only bread I would eat with something like this is like a whole grain, or maybe Ezekiel bread, or whatever natural grain bread you can find. Or it depends on you, to be honest. Some people love rye, white bread. It doesn't matter. Or biscuits. It goes with biscuits too.
How about
And,
rice?
You was breaking up. Sorry.
Oh, how about rice? Rice?
Well, potatoes in there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
tend
yeah.
not to do too much. Yeah, but
Yeah.
some people they double their starch. They'll actually add rice or something like that to it, like a black rice or a brown rice.
Okay. A couple questions here. What brand of Creole seasoning do you like? Do you have a particular brand?
Uh,
A particular brand of Creole seasoning?
I use Tony's, and I also use one called Slap My Mama. I hope I'm quoting that right. And then there's another one. The name slips me. I order it offline. It's from
Tony? Tony's?
Tony Catchers Creole seasoning.
Catcher?
That one, yeah. Catchers like without a T. I think they do pronounce it Catcher, Tony Catcher. That one is everywhere. You can particularly find that one at just about any store. And in that section, there'll be different brands. So you'll have to pick your flavor or what you like. I like Tony's. They have a low sodium one. That's the one I like to use a lot. And they also have one that's spicy. I use that one every blue moon when I'm doing gumbo, depending on the crowd. And the Slap Your Mom is the same way. It goes from spicy, medium to regular and low sodium too. And once I figure out the name of it, I know it's gonna come to me before the day is over. That one's a pretty good one too, on the low sodium tip. Yep, but that one definitely, if you want to add rice, you can. Some people love it. The guys I work for, they add rice to everything, even if there's potatoes in it. So it's everybody's preference, to be honest. Let's get a look at this.
And then just to answer your question, there was a question earlier about how much coconut milk. It was 2 12-ounce cans, I believe.
Yeah. So you can use both
offering
of
up
them.
that if you don't, she doesn't like a lot of spice, but she likes the Creole flavor, and so she makes her own. She's suggesting she's found some good recipes.
For Creole seasoning.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of hot peppers, basils. Depends on the person too, to be honest. With this one, they really don't give up all the ingredients on it. They just tell you the sodium intake and all that. But if you're dealing with someone from Louisiana or something like that, they have their own Creole seasonings, and everybody's different. And everybody's not going to tell you the recipe either. I've tried many of days to figure out what's in that little bag of dust that a lot of these people from Texas and from the South, Auntie them is not giving those up until they're ready to go see the Lord, to be honest. They'll never let you know.
Yeah.
Got in it. Some of the older guys too. My grandfather used to make gumbo, but I never ate that back then. I didn't understand gumbo when I was a kid. But he used to have a bag of dry stuff that he would put in there. And he was like, this is my magic. So to this day, I never found out what that was. Yeah. So, That's the beauty of Creole foods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Southern cooking. Nothing is the same. Unfortunately, up here, we kind of deal with the same kind of stuff when we deal with Coney Islands and Detroit style pizzas and stuff like that. You kind of get what you get. But when you venture out, there's always a different flavor from a different part of somebody. So,
yeah. Could you talk about some of the other vegan things that you mentioned earlier? So we were talking about some taco ideas that you had, and
I use.
Go ahead.
Actually, I have a client that's going to meet me as soon as I get off Zoom. I made a walnut lasagna for her last night. So what I'll do, I'll grind walnuts up into a food processor, until they're fine and almost look like ground meat. And then I'll boil it down till it gets soft, and then I'll strain it and rinse it back off again. And then I'll add that to the tomato sauces. And I also would do the same technique, and I'll saute onions, peppers, and taco seasonings, and I'll throw the walnut meat in, and I'll make ground meat for tacos. And we'll do walnut tacos with guacamole, avocados, salsas. The Ezekiel brand has a whole grain tortilla. It goes excellent with that. And, that recipe is pretty simple too. I usually use a low sodium taco seasoning when I'm sauteing the vegetables and the walnuts together. I'll add depending on how big the order is and how wet you want your tacos, you can add tomato juice and diced tomatoes and taco seasonings, and you'll be good to go. You won't even tell the difference. People will still think they're eating beef. Because when you think about it, when you cook beef, you have to season that too. It really, certain beef has certain taste, but when it comes to ground beef, it's basically you have to season it to taste. So,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people are still stuck on the whole. They want to do the vegetarian vibe, but they still want to have like a vegan burger or vegan chicken nuggets or vegan sausage and stuff like that. I'm not too big on the processed thing, and I figured if we want to do whole foods. Like I'll roast a whole zucchini, and I'll cut the middle open, and I'll fill it with sauteed vegetables and tomatoes and bake it. And to me, that's pretty good. I don't have to have a imitation sausage that's been processed or probably. I've been hearing rumors now. A lot of this food is 3D printed food or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but stuff like Beyond Meat and all these other products are just terrible. And soy. I hope you guys stay away from soy products and tofu, because the good brother George Washington Carver, when he invented the soybean, he said this thing has many uses, but do not consume it. It's not good for you. So I don't know how we got here in the 2000s and everything is soy-based or seitan or tofu. And it's no good for us at all, especially men. It's no good for us. It's no good for humans at all. So we just have to take control of our eating habits. So that's why I love Keep It Grown Detroit and local farmers and urban farming, because we got control of what we eat. The average person leaves the house every day and stands in a drive-through line and gets the 99-cent menu. And I hate the 99-cent menu.
Yeah, word.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's my arch enemy. I've been trying to combat cheap food and easy alternatives for $1 because it's poison. There's no way you're going to spend $1 on something when it's a meal for you.
Yeah.
That's like going to get fruit from the gas station. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you a couple questions here in the comments. Well, there's a question: do you use tofu or tempeh? Clearly, you do not use tofu. Do you use tempeh?
No.
Okay.
I try not to do anything that goes through a process to become something else. I love fresh. Everything fresh, potatoes, peppers, onions. I got calluses. I don't know if you guys can see because I cut so many vegetables all the time. It's just, that's a technique. I don't want to open up a package and then something is already pre-made, you just heat it up.
Actually, that brings up a question for me. So what do you, like when you're, for these, like for cutting size, like what is your strategy for how big you cut things for a particular dish? Like for these stews, how big are you? I know some things it makes more sense to cut it really tiny, and other things it's better to cut things bigger. Do you have any thoughts about that you'd want to share?
I do a lot of veggie stir fries, and I tend to cut the veggies a little bit medium to big size when I'm doing that. But when I'm doing something like the stews, I don't want a big pepper hanging off the spoon as I'm eating it, so I like to dice a lot of stuff up fine. And even with the gumbo, I cut everything small. That way you can get the spoon and it's not too much stuff hanging off the spoon or hanging out your mouth. And other things like the tacos, I will actually throw extra julienne peppers or something like that on it. So they're usually medium sliced. But I really like small cuts of vegetables because it cooks faster and it holds a lot of flavor too. And it's easier to work with. I'm always cutting small, but it depends. Like
Yeah.
I did a vegan pot pie type of thing yesterday with the coconut cream, kind of similar to this dish, but not with all these ingredients. And some of the carrots were a little huge, and some of the onions were too. But everything else was kind of fine cut.
Yeah.
Same thing with my vegetarian spaghettis. Before I started using walnut meat in the place of a protein, I would cut the veggies up so small, and then I would cut other veggies medium to small. So they kind of gave you that kind of ground meat type of texture when you was eating spaghetti. And people used to rave over that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
A few other questions here. Let's see. Where can we purchase your gumbo and order items? How can we contact you? Can I put your email?
Email. My email works best. BUDDAH foods@gmail. That way we can have a decent conversation and we'll see how much you want. Because sometimes I have a ton of gumbo when I'm doing big events, and then I'll sell them by the bowls or the cups or the quarts. But most of the time, if I don't have gumbo, some people will be looking for like maybe one bowl or two bowls. And sometimes it's just not, it doesn't work for me to go out and buy a bunch of ingredients just to sell one bowl. So if you guys are looking to buy 11 quarts or a quart or two, we can definitely accommodate that. But when it comes to 10-ounce bowls or something, because a lot of people were calling me and emailing me saying, can I get 4 bowls of gumbo for me and my crew? And I would have to turn them down. It's got to be at least 10 people or more with the gumbo. Yeah. And then most of the time, if you're on my email list, I'll send out a list of places that I'll be and where I'm serving gumbo at when I'm doing pop-ups or when I'm doing certain things. So yeah.
Okay. Back to the recipes for a second. It says for servings for 2, do you still use 29 ounces each of tomatoes and the sauce? You use 2 full cans for this
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But they're going to cook down, right?
Yeah, and then the amount of vegetables fit right. It'll make it more of a stew, because I think they might have idea that it might be too much sauce, and it might end up like almost like a soup or a sauce. But the version I did half and half. I still have a ton of vegetables that I cut up. But what I did rushing out today, I didn't bring my pan, so I used these 8-inch pans that I had here at this kitchen. So I just did the 8-inch pan version. But on the bigger level, I would have used, because the vegetables that's in their recipe, once you cut those up, that's the veggies.
Yeah.
So the 2 cans of coconut cream will accommodate that, and the 2 cans of tomato.
So with the recipe that I posted that you gave me, that's for 4 people then, or for okay. And what you did,
you know what? It depends on the person. Like
sure.
That would be enough for two servings for me. I eat a lot when it comes to vegetables, and most people do if they're like on a vegetarian diet. So yeah, that would be definitely enough for 2 people, and maybe 3 or 4 depending on how you guys are portioning it out. So I know I learned over the years that a lot of people are different when it comes to eating and portions and eating, especially women. Women will eat just a little. Men will go all in, to the point where I know the stuffy, we can barely breathe when it comes to eating something very good. So, it depends on the person, to be honest. But that recipe is definitely for at least 2 people. Yeah. So is everybody online local? Do we have any out-of-staters or any?
No, I would say I'm not 100% sure, but more or less, this is all folks who are in the gardening program here in Detroit. So
Okay,
yeah, I would
good.
say we're all Detroit, Highland Park, Hamtramck, I would say for the most part, without knowing everybody.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So there's a question. Could you give a little more detailed run through on what you do for the walnut meat?
Oh yeah, like I think I have a 1 pound bag I usually work with, and I have a fairly decent food processor. So I'll do it in 2 different batches. On the post setting, when you steady, you're chopping and chopping and chopping, and it still depends on the person too. I like mine a little bit finer. And sometimes if when I do chili, I also make chili with walnut meat too. I wouldn't, it's fine. I like it a little bit bulky, but uh, sometimes I will cook the walnut meat down in the stews or in the chili, and I'll saute it raw with vegetables when I'm doing tacos per se, because sometimes I like that crunch and that earthy type of texture when I'm eating vegetables. And my dad was the one who put me up on boiling the walnut meat because he didn't like it. He's like, it's just it's too crunchy, and the flavor, he's like, it tastes good, but I don't like the crunch. I bet because he's a little older and his teeth probably couldn't take it. But boiling it down just gives it a more softer texture. But if you're one of those people that love eating a hearty type of vibe and more of a crunch, I would say play with it a little bit, depending on your taste. If you want to cook it down, like I say, I'll saute the walnuts also with onions and peppers and celery when I'm doing the dish. And then sometimes I'll boil it down when I'm doing certain dishes, depending on the person too. But yeah, me personally, I like that little texture. I love that crunch because I love walnuts in general, to be honest. So just imagine it has fresh basil in it, salt, pepper, taco seasoning, tomato sauce, chipotle peppers, onion, the whole nine, cilantro. It's really a good meal. You can do sloppy joe with the walnut meat. You can do, what did we do one day? So we ground it. I experimented with quinoa flour, flaxseed, olive oil, and a little water and walnut meat. So I made a patty and I seasoned it a little bit. And to me, it was good. But I think for the average person, they would have to play with that, to be honest. But yeah, I tried to make just about everything with walnut meat, even pecans and cashews too, to be honest. I used to do a lot of cheese sauces with cashews and nuts, but I would find myself kind of gassy. I hate to say that. And then I realized, like, because I was going off the standard, whenever I looked up a cheese recipe, it always called for nuts. Until one day I was playing with coconut cream, and I thickened it up with a roux. The roux was made from quinoa flour, grapeseed oil. I boiled it down. I threw a little vegetable base inside the milk as it was heating, and then as I added the roux to thicken it up, it became like a cheese sauce. So we were eating nachos with it. We were pouring it over broccoli and carrots and everything, and it was phenomenal. It actually added white wine too. I always add wine to my cheese sauces all the time. A vegetable base and a wine, and then you can season it to your taste, and you can thicken it up with a natural oil and definitely a natural flour. I stay away from the white flours and stuff like that, and the regular canola oils. That stuff is garbage. Grapeseed, olive oil, and sesame seed oil I work with a lot.
I know we
I'm
were
sorry.
talking about. What's that?
Did you guys hear me? 'Cause I'm sorry, I was talking fast.
No, you have been cutting up a little bit, but the last little bit was good. So let's just try and I think
Okay.
if you don't move the camera around, it seems to be working better.
Okay.
We were talking about. So can you talk a little bit more about the roux, and would you add that kind of roux to the coconut milk stew? You were talking about maybe
Yeah.
doing that. Did you need to do that, or did you do that for this one?
If I would have added all the vegetables and the extra can of coconut, if I would have had my bigger pan, I would definitely have used it. But I did make some. Let me see if you guys can see it. This is actually, this is quinoa flour and olive oil. You just whip it up 1 cup per cup, a cup of flour to a cup of oil. And the thicker you want your sauce to be, the less oil you'll use. And make sure you whip it up good. That way everything is not lumpy. But I use that a lot when I'm dealing with vegetable stuff, even if it's especially my gumbo. Now, the secret to my gumbo, you guys are lucky. I'll toast my flour in the oven to it's almost a dark brown. And then I'll add the oil. I'll make a dark brown roux, which is actually some ways they do it in Louisiana too. So it gives you that burnt kettle kind of flavor. And you can do that with a lot of vegetarian dishes to give it a different type of smoky flavor too. I love doing that. And people are like, what was it in it? It tasted really nutty, like a roasted flavor. And that's because I will cook the flour, almond flour too, coconut flour. I like quinoa flour because it's more fine and easy to work with. So I'm always using, and then quinoa flour has a lot of health benefits also too.
Where do you get quinoa flour from?
By my house, I get it from Better Health. And if I'm in the Midtown area, I'll get it from Whole Foods. Kroger carries it. They have it in like a health food type of section where they'll sell different type of flours and grains and stuff. And it's just about, and you can find it at some Krogers. Some Krogers, they don't have it. I was on 8 Mile, Wyoming one day, and I couldn't find it. But the one in Harper Woods and the one on 9 in Jefferson area, I think they have the quinoa flour. Yeah, it has a great taste, to be honest. Any health food store should have it. I think both of the spots on 9 and Woodward, they carry it. And sometimes when I can't find something, I'll just Google it. And if it's in the area, I'll get it. But if I can't get it, I'll substitute. I rarely use wheat flour or whole grain flour. So I think wheat is still a little damaging to the body too. Causes a lot of mucus and it doesn't digest well. I know people were pushing wheat breads and stuff like that. I just stay away from that kind of stuff. That's my personal preference though.
Word. There's a question here. Are you, when you're using for like walnuts or the different application you've been using nuts like cashews and stuff, are these all raw nuts or roasted or both? Or, I mean, you're cooking them
Raw.
ultimately, but you're starting out with raw. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely raw. Yeah. Yeah. Because some of this stuff will be processed and they'll put honey and roasted stuff and a little glaze on it. You don't want that. It'll throw off your taste of what you're actually trying to season with. So yeah, definitely always use raw.
Okay, guys. Well, so like how are both the dishes done at this point?
Yeah, I'm going to grab a bowl right quick so I can plate both of them up. If you guys give me a second, would that work?
Yeah, sure.
And I'll try to adjust the camera so we can see both of them. Yeah, give me one second.
Okay. While we're waiting for Buddah to get that ready, if anybody, you guys want to, I got any other questions or anything? Okay. Daryl, we'll come back to that for sure.
So this is the one that was made with the cream.
Beautiful. Yeah, it looks nice and thick.
Yeah, because the amount of the vegetables help to keep the cream a little thicker. And it will actually thicken for real. One can will thicken up the more you cook it, the more thickener it will get, to be honest. Okay, let's see if you can get me in here too. Okay. Yeah, so I love the whole grain breads. Sometimes I won't even use a spoon. I'll just sop all this up with a couple of pieces of bread and it's out of there. And
Yeah.
My coworkers here, they're waiting. They were waiting till I'm finished so they can eat these vegetable dishes, to be honest. And they keep
Nice.
peeking in, listening close. So yeah, is there any other recipes you guys got any questions about or anything
Well, yeah,
else?
so there's a few questions here. Do you have any other suggestions for meat alternatives, or like kind of, I'd also be curious for you to talk a little bit about more about the liquid smoke and how much or little to use at a time in ratio.
Yeah, me, like for instance, when I do 11 quart kettle for gumbo, I'll use one whole bottle of liquid smoke and put it in there. And with everything else, I'll do it to taste because it is pretty strong depending on if you got the hickory brand or the mesquite. I like to work with the hickory one. That's my personal preference, but a lot of people like the mesquite flavor too. I will also use liquid smoke when I'm roasting vegetables. Same way, like this same recipe with those same amount of vegetables, you can kind of toss those in the olive oil, salt, pepper, and maybe a half a bottle of liquid smoke and toss those in and let that sit in the refrigerator for like maybe an hour. And then you can throw them on a sheet pan and roast them. And then you can have a roasted vegetable dish. You can smear it on bruschetta breads or put it in tortilla wraps and eat it like that. Possibly, if you guys want a vegan cheese sauce, I can give you that. Like I would make a lot of burritos with roasted vegetables, and I'll grill the bread. I'll put the roasted vegetables in the middle, and I'll just drizzle it with the coconut cream cheese sauce, and I'll eat it like that too. And some people like, there's a lot of brands of vegetable cheese on the market. Dyla, quite a few. Some people still deal with that. You can roast vegetables and you can use those brands too. Can you guys hear me good? 'Cause I backed up a little bit off the camera.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. How about meat alternatives? Any other suggestions for meat alternatives?
At first I didn't like, what is this? It's jackfruit. Jackfruit. The first time I tasted jackfruit, it had you guys ever were back in the day when you put your tongue on a battery and
Yeah.
you'll get that metallic. The first time I had jackfruit, it had that type of flavor. So I don't know if it was the person who made it. So it threw me off. People will always say, "You ever use jackfruit?" And I'm like, I just don't like it. Until I found jackfruit vacuum sealed in a bag at GFS Foods. The meat was already cut off the fruit part. So what I did, I took it home and I soaked it in liquid smoke. There's liquid smoke again. I was afraid it was going to have like a metallic taste. So I let it marinate in the liquid smoke overnight in a bowl. And then I took it and drained it just a little bit. And then I made a pulled pork dish. So I had barbecue sauce. I threw a little Dijon mustard in it, a little wine, and I cooked it down. We put it on top of a vegan bun. We made a vegan coleslaw, and it was mind blowing. I actually sold it. We used to do vegan Tuesdays at Mama Courthouse. I remember selling out that jackfruit dish. Sold it with yam fries on the bun with coleslaw on top, and people were lining out the door for that. So it's kind of hard to find that brand of jackfruit meat. Again, I looked, so you have to special order it. Like if you go to Gordon's, you can ask for it. I think a whole case is like $40, but you get like 4 huge bags. You probably just need a little bit. It lasts forever. You don't have to refrigerate it unless you're going to keep it for more than a couple months. You definitely want to refrigerate it, but it actually stays well on the shelf, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So jackfruit, and I like lentils a lot. I used to make lentil burgers a lot. You know, quinoa flour, lentils, a little oil, flax seeds. I would use flaxseed and a little water, and that makes like a replacement for eggs. So when you pack something together, you let it sit in the fridge for a couple hours. It'll mend everything together. Like I make vegan cornbread. I'll use the cornmeal, quinoa flour, flax seeds, applesauce, and like a coconut or almond milk, sugar, and baking powder. And delicious. If you guys want that recipe too, I can email it, and that comes out great. You know, it tends to be a little moist, almost like a sweet cake, but it's delicious. You know, no eggs, no white flour, no milk, no cow milk. So yeah, that's a good recipe too.
Nice.
But not too much. Yeah, you know, when it comes to the meat alternative thing, I stopped eating meat in '97. And I kind of went cold turkey. So it turned me all the way off meat. So I never, like I said, was always looking for something to mimic meat in my mouth because I was so excited about eating whole vegetables and fresh vegetables that people would always say, do you make your own veggie burgers? And I'm like, I tried, but I already eat all those ingredients, you know, raw or sauteed on the plate versus to make an imitation burger, you know, so yeah. And you know, before this call is over, I can think of another meat alternative, but nuts, jackfruit, it's just about the ones that I would work with as far as meat and beans. You know, I used the dry beans. I would cook beans and I'll lay them on a sheet tray. And I used to let those dry out. And then I will put those in the food processor and it would give like a ground meat type of texture too. But I stopped doing that because it was like, the flavor was a little off. You know, I was looking for the whole meat substitute type of thing, but it didn't work. So yeah, but you know, people can play with that. You know, dehydrating a lot of vegetables and then process them to their ground and then make patties or throw them in stews like that. That works also.
Is it hard for you to be a vegetarian for 20 plus years and still having to be dealing with meat on the day to day? I know that's like what we were talking about earlier, that's part of your job, that you still have to cook meat. Is that hard for you to do that?
No, you know, I was considered crazy back in '97 when I stopped because I think I was still working for the Detroit Medical Center, and we would do it, you know, meatloaves, meatballs, baked chicken, ham. And everybody, you know, most cooks, they throw something in their mouth. So I was actually intermittent fasting before I even knew what that was. I wouldn't eat until I got home. And when I did get home, it was always something light. So when people saw me within a year, like in 1998, they were like, oh my God, dude, you're so skinny. You know, what happened with all your weight? But I still had muscle. You know, I gained a lot of muscle, but my face got slimmer and my tummy disappeared totally. And I realized that I think I just lost a lot of toxins. I think a lot of toxic waste left my body within 12 months because I stopped putting milk and cheese, dead meat, other processed stuff, chicken and all that. So 12 months after that, it felt like my body flushed a lot of toxic fluid a lot of garbage that was in my colon. You know, my face got a little bit brighter. My thought pattern was speedy. I was quick on the draw. I was clearer. So, you know, back then it was kind of taboo. They was like, you're like the only black guy we know that don't eat chicken, man. Something ain't right with you. You suspect, you know. But I just stopped. You know, I was studying ethnobotany in Atlanta, Georgia. So the more we were learning about the plants and how plants coincide with humans, it just said, and then the thing the guy told me, he said, these animals stand their whole life. They never lay down to sleep. And then they're slaughtered. And then they're pumped with steroids. And then they garbage. And then they turn around and cut them up. And by the time you get to it, it's probably been dead over a week, depending on where it's coming from. And after I heard that, I was like, ugh, yeah, you're right. You know, that's crazy. And they was like, if we were meant to eat meat, we would have to cook it, right? I've never seen a lion or a tiger or a cougar, you know, these animals that eat meat. I never seen them cook a gazelle or a zebra or fire. They eat it raw because the system is designed for it. The teeth is designed for it. Our teeth are naturally flat, so we're natural herbivores. You know, the biggest dinosaurs in the world, all they did was eat leaves all day. Gorillas, all they do was eat leaves all day. Elephants, all they do is eat grass and leaves all day. Giraffes, these are the biggest, strongest animals on the planet. And all they do is eat greens. Caterpillars, for instance, a caterpillar spends his whole day doing what? Eating nonstop. They'll move from one leaf to the next leaf to the next leaf until they're so full of life force and so much greenery that they actually transform into something beautiful and grow wings. So that is mind blowing that you can eat a vegan lifestyle until your whole body transform into something else. It's like we're transforming into light because we're putting so much light in us, because plants, they feed off sunlight and water, and we put that light in us, and eventually you become what you eat. So, you know, it just made sense to me to stop eating dead animals, you know, especially visiting farms and stuff as a young kid, and just learning that cows don't even drink, you know, cows don't even drink meat, but humans drink meat their whole life. It doesn't make sense. At a certain age, a cow won't drink, a calf will stop drinking milk because it doesn't need it. They'll go to eating vegetables. But humans will eat cereal every morning and put milk in a lot of dishes. And the animal that produces milk don't even drink milk. So that doesn't make sense at all to me. So, yeah. You guys, was that too?
There was a question about, I think you kind of summarized your jackfruit pulled pork, but could you, I mean, maybe she just asked for she's asking for a recipe. I don't know if it's something you want to summarize a little bit more.
Yeah, not only would you like to marinate your meat to kind of get that metallic taste out of it, because it does have a tangy flavor, unless you marinate it or season it. But I always will saute onions and peppers first outside of the jackfruit meat, because if you overcook it, it's no good. So if you're going to do something like a pulled pork vegetarian, saute your peppers and onions separately from the jackfruit, and then add the jackfruit to that, and then toss it in and cook it just a little bit, just to heat it up. And then if you add a sauce to it, you might want to heat the barbecue sauce up first, and then pour hot sauce over the jackfruit and kind of mix it to your texture. Some people like it a little more dry with just a hint of barbecue, and some people like it more sloppier. But it's still the person. But I wouldn't overcook jackfruit. But definitely you want to add extra vegetables to it, like peppers and onions, maybe shallots or something like that. To be honest. But like I said,
so it's like a marinade, so marinade and basically warming it through and then adding the other stuff on, like the flavors. So you don't want to overcook it. Is the take home point.
Yeah, it shreds really fast when it's overcooked. Even sitting it on a steam table or something like that when you're serving, you want to constantly check the temperature so it doesn't overcook and it's too mushy. You still want, I like that kind of tenderness when I'm eating something, you want that bite to it. You don't want to just bite into something and it's all mush on top of a sauce going in your mouth.
Mhm.
So yeah. And then I kind of like my vegetables a little bit raw because you still have a lot of minerals and stuff still left in it. You don't want to overcook anything, to be honest. You know. So yeah.
How about breakfast? Any recommendation or ideas for outside of kind of like for things to have savory or otherwise for breakfast? Like what would replace, you know, eggs and bacon, or what would be, or totally outside the box? What's different and that you think that's a delicious thing that you make that's a breakfast option?
My breakfast go-to is always if I can find watermelon with seeds, I'll definitely run that through my juicer. I love juicing early in the morning. Sometimes I'll juice before I even brush my teeth, to be honest. I'll run something through the juicer and I'll splash it down, and that kind of open me up. And I'll use Ezekiel bread and maybe almond butter, bananas, or avocado, and I'll spread that on toast. Because I learned when I used to do what I still do. When I drink freshly squeezed juice or juice from the juicer, it runs right through me. I'm running right to the bathroom. So I've learned to add like a grain bread or some toasted bread or bananas or avocado or something with me. But as far as something more heartier, I don't know if the most thing I've done was potatoes for breakfast, to be honest. Like breakfast potatoes sauteed with onions and peppers and the fresh juice. But outside of that, nothing else really. Like no egg substitute, no sausage substitutes. It's always a whole grain toast with either almond butter or avocado with honey and cracked black pepper or something like that. And fresh watermelon juice or fresh cantaloupes, fresh fruit juice in general. I used to do a lot of fruit veggie mixed juices, but I separate them now. If I'm gonna do a veggie juice, I would do just all veggies. I wouldn't put any sweet fruit with it. And if I'm doing all fruit, I keep it the same. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What kind of juicer do you use?
Wow.
Or do you
It's
have
a huge one. I don't know the name offhand, but it's pretty big where I can put a whole.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, you want? Yeah, it is. It's tons. I just saw a commercial for one, and I'm like, oh my god, I want it. It was huge, and then the way it saves the pulp, where you can use all the excess that's not juice and make dishes with it. The one I got, it's really sloppy, and I just throw it in compost. But this one, it was phenomenal. I saved it on my phone. But that one had a big enough mouth where you can put whole fruits in without cutting. Because I had the old school ones with the little mouth, and I would spend most of the time cutting the fruit and vegetables just to get it down in there.
Yeah.
So I got the one with the big mouth. The ones particularly with the bigger mouth are a bit more powerful too. The more powerful the engine, the more juice you're gonna get out of it. But I play a lot with juice, ginger and apple, blueberries, and sometimes I'll put lavender leaves in with my juice. I'll drink that like that. It's really good. Turmeric. I don't juice carrots at all. I just don't like the taste. But I'll juice just about everything else, to be honest. Especially apples and ginger. Yeah, that really wakes me up in the morning.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open it up. If folks want to come off mute, if you have any particular questions for Buddah, I do want to mention, Buddah, there was folks earlier saying you should put together a cookbook. They would love to see if you put out a vegetarian or vegan cooking by Buddah. That would be well received.
Yeah, definitely. That's on the list of things to do. I actually was working on one and then put it on pause to do cooking demos and videos. So I came up with a TV show called Cater to You Detroit TV, because a lot of people love recipes. I think the older generations love to open the book and read. Younger generations, they're more visual. They learn by what they see.
Yeah.
So if you guys go on boostfoods.com, there should be 2 cooking videos on there. One, I made a spaghetti squash dish. And the other, I think I made vegan cheese with lobster or something like that. But I think I want to do the whole show and tell thing first with the videos, and then come with the book after that with
Cool.
different techniques, totally different stuff. Yeah, but a book is definitely in the making. Just about everybody I hang with have published books, and they're like, "Dude, what are you doing? You got to get this book out," because they like personally all the text messages we got from you are books, because people always ask for recipes, and I'll send them. They're like, "Man, we got 20 different recipes. That's like a 20 pages in your book already." So yeah, I think making a book is a no-brainer. But I'm more of a hands-on type of guy.
Yeah.
So I got with Us Media, and we're working on some things behind the scenes to kind of get vegetarian and healthy lifestyle out there, because a lot of people, even in 2022, still struggle with what to eat and how to shop and where to get stuff from and
Yeah.
different needs. Lucky for me, I started in '97, so it's easy. But the average person are really changing their diets in today's world because they see the poison and the garbage that's being given to us. So I think videos is a quicker and more advanced way to change somebody's mind quickly, to be honest.
Right on. Okay, folks, does anybody have questions for Buddah that they want to come off mute and ask? Buddah, are you? Go ahead. Go ahead. What we got here?
I just wanted to say that I don't have a question, but I just have a comment that I really, really appreciate. Chef Buddah, I really appreciate your comments, and definitely inspired me to transition to a full vegetarian lifestyle. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I've done it. I've done it with so many people, and I'm a lot easier than I used to be. I used to be really radical when it came to eating and eating habits, and I would be really scolding people, and they were like, "Man, you're just too hard on this, man. Give me time." So, and I think I still have a little bit of that, because if the questions are being asked, I tend to go somewhere and I'm able to shed a little light on certain aspects. But I do believe human beings are not natural meat eaters. I don't believe it. I believe that somehow, some way, we end up eating meat. I don't know if it was through force or just through survival techniques. But because we're at the top of the food chain, we can eat anything. But I think our natural diets are veggies. Our teeth. People always say, well, we got canine teeth. So we say we can eat meat, right? I said, no, that's for prying open a papaya or a mango. That's not for meat at all. If we were meant to eat meat, we wouldn't have to cook it. Bottom line, our intestine is not designed to digest meat. Our liver is not designed to digest meat. Our pancreas, a lot of people end up with pancreas problems, colon problems, stomach problems, heart failure, brain damage. I hate to say it, but I work with a lot of elders, and a lot of them end up with dementia or Alzheimer's disease. But I know the kind of diet they have eaten for the last 50 years. Not one time did they take a break and lay off meat or anything. So I think the number 2 cause of disease is eating meat and bad food habits. So yeah, if we can just, nothing's over. I think I'm just one of those guys who paid attention a lot and was already kind of health conscious. So when I went and started studying plant life, it was a no-brainer. But a lot of folks thought I was nuts. Like, you're one of the best chefs we know, and you eat meat. And I'm like, nah, it's just not for me anymore. It's not for my body anymore. So yeah.
Anybody else?
Any more questions?
Okay. Well, I guess with that, then, thanks so much for your time, Buddha. Chef. I guess before we go, could you, we shared your email in the chat, and then we just put Buddha Foods, BUDDAHFOODS.com for those few videos you were talking about. Is there anything else that you got coming up that folks should know about?
Oh, Buddha, I did look at your website real quick, and the recipe is delicious for the squash. So thank you for the spaghetti squash. I flipped over
Oh,
to your
yeah.
website. It's easy too. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. That's the thing too. A lot of this stuff is very, very, very easy. Like I said, we've been programmed and conditioned to eat meat. Like I do freelance work too on Saturdays when I'm free at the Central Market and the Eastern Market, and I weigh up meat for people. I sell it. So sometimes people come in and like, man, what the hell are you doing serving meat? But I'm just helping my buddy out, RJ, who owns the meat company. But people buy hog maws, smoked ham hocks, all kind of stuff. And I'd be curious. I'm like, what are you going to do with this? Because I'm always asking. They're like, well, I'm seasoning my greens, or see, they're always seasoning vegetables with meat. And that's just, it blows my mind. Like you can season vegetables for other vegetables or herbs or other stuff, But I think that's just a program and a condition that we in. But yeah.
I have one quick question, if you don't mind, Keto, for Buddha.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
spoke
sure.
with I came on later, but I was dealing with my cousin this morning, and we were talking about soups and greens, and she always puts in, she goes, I don't use pork anymore, but she puts in a smoked turkey leg. What's something else that's smoky that we could put in, greens?
Liquid smoke.
Yeah, to give that kind of nice taste of greens, but
yeah,
not meat.
Yeah, definitely liquid smoke. Liquid smoke is my definite go-to because, like I said, a lot of people are programmed to have that meaty flavor or that meaty texture or that smoky type of flavor coming from meat in their mouth. So using liquid smoke and sometimes charring vegetables and putting that in the pan and it'll season it, that helps too. But
okay.
Yeah, we don't have to use that.
Okay,
Bouillon
charred vegetables.
also, yep, roasted vegetable base. You can get them depending on where you can find these. This one is a pretty good one, but you want to watch how you use it. I've cooked greens and cabbage and sauteed a lot of stuff with this one, and it comes out awesome. It's a ton of veggie bases and veggie bouillon products, even veggie stock on the market, and if you can combine those with liquid smoke, it will give you that flavor and that taste that most people are used to when using smoked meats.
Okay. She just asked if she transitions. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also doing an event February 19th. It's called the Taste of Black Spirits. They're going to have like all the black spirit brands, people that minority owned tequila brands, whiskey, wine, beer, you name it. They're going to be there. Thomas, his team is going to be there because he sells champagne now. But we're going to cater this thing like never before. We got Young Village involved. He's bringing the Afro-Caribbean food. I'm bringing all the vegan vibes. I'm going to have vegan mac and cheese, cornbread, gumbo, tacos possibly. And that's going to be fire if you guys can make that one. I'll send the link to Keto by
That's
me
fine.
being on this pad.
What I'm gonna do for everybody is I'll clean up, I'll like summarize the recipes in an email to everybody after the fact. And also I'll share out the video so people can have it later. It'll be on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, good. This is
Unless everybody,
excellent.
unless anybody else had a last minute question, I think we'll go ahead and sign off for the day. That was a lot of fun, Buddah. It was great talking with you. And thanks for sharing. I mean, this is cool for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Buddah.
I'm yeah, much to I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to upgrade my my technology, so I won't have to use this. I think this is like a little pad that came from Metro PCS or something that my children had, and I just plugged it up and it worked. So hopefully next time around we can have a better view, better angles, better view of what I got going on. So
Okay.
I
No problem.
appreciate you
Please
guys.
It
come
worked
back.
out. It worked out.
Come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope to see you at the event.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys email me, I will put the link and email it back so you guys can get tickets if that's something you may be interested in. But it's gonna be phenomenal. Music, food, drinks, entertainment, live band. Like I say, it's gonna be a lot of movers and shakers there. A lot of
What's the date? What's the date on it again?
February 19th.
Did you know
It's
where
called
it's
The Taste of Black Spirit. Oh, it's gonna be at the Garden Theater on Woodward.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you.
What time?
Yes. 6 until we kicked out of the building, to be honest. Because
Okay.
sometimes we party hard. And you guys can follow me online. Instagram also. It's Buddah_Foods_LLC.
And you called it
Let's see if I can
the
put
taste.
that.
What did you say? The taste of
Taste
what?
of Black Spirits.
Okay.
See you on the 19th.
I hope so. It's actually my birthday also. So I'll have a whole section of party goers that's down with me, and we're going to be turning it up for my birthday. I'll be 48, and I'm happy that I made it through last year and the year before. So if you can make it out, we're definitely going to party and eat very well. And if you into drinking, you can drink very well because you get the food and the drinks and the entertainment with the price. But I'm going to put my Instagram page up now too. Hopefully you guys can follow that page, and I'll send you the direct link to the event and everything else that I got going on too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Again, I'll
right.
make sure that everybody gets the link to the video, and we'll share the recipes afterward. Good to see everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See you